Hi, Timmy.
You having a nice laugh, are you?
I mean, it's Christmas. It's Christmas morning.
Hey!
I love the way it makes me feel inside.
What's up, everyone? Adam from FWCI. This is Mr. McMahon. Episode 3, Screwjob. The lines between reality and kayfabe start to blur as WWE takes their talents elsewhere. What? What is that talking about? Oh, boosting the pedigree of a gritty competitor. Right, okay, so this is gonna be... Alright, let's hear Vince's actual thoughts on the Monday Night War. Well, as close to his actual thoughts as we can get on this documentary, because you still gotta read between the lines with Vince. I still think he's a promoter at heart. I think he can't help but elaborate on the truth any opportunity he gets. Same goes with Hogan. Like, you can just feel it when they talk. So the last episode talked about the steroid trial. We got to meet Sam Mushnick, I think, was an actual promoter. Phil Mushnick is the journalist who really doesn't like Vince McMahon, and I'm interested to see what we get with him throughout the rest of this documentary, because he continued to cover McMahon for years and years. This episode's obviously going to talk about the Montreal screw job. What are my thoughts on that? Alright, here we go. Here's a hot take. Probably not that much of a hot take. I find it really bizarre and peculiar that Bret Hart had a documentary crew there. I then find it really bizarre and peculiar that documentary had such a small, limited release. I guess it was big for its day, but you don't really hear much about Wrestling with Shadows these days. Don't know why Vince offered him a contract that he couldn't honor. Then it was up to Bret to sort of make all the accommodations for it and go somewhere else if he wanted to get paid the money that he's been told by Vince that he was going to pay. That's the one part of that story that I never understood how the hell that happens. Hey, pal, we're going to sign you for 10 years. All right. 6 months later, or whatever it was, 12 months later. Oh, sorry, can't sign you for 10 years, so, yeah. You can go somewhere else or you can stay here for less money. Like, well, you didn't sign me for 10 years then, did you? What the fuck kind of contract is this? So I hope we get some clarity around that, but let's jump into it. This is Mr. McMahon, Episode 3, Screwjob. Oh god, we're not going to start with Stand Back again, are we? Alright, good. Because we all know that Vince likes to watch a lot of men drop.
To do the honor, so to speak, and pass that championship to someone else, she resisted. And it's like...
Who was she supposed to drop it to? Fabulous Moolah, who held it for 30 years?
You're holding my championship. It's mine, it's not yours. I'm not going to give it up. Well, alright. I'm going to make you give it up then.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Moolah had the mask on or something? Yeah, the spider.
The match is in the ring, and Wendy has a championship, and is really...
You know what, if I was Wendy Richter, I wouldn't have wanted to drop the title to Moolah either.
I didn't care. It was like, with the public being in an uproar, and oh my god, it really wasn't a fair count. My answer to that is, life's not fair sometimes, and, I don't fight fair.
Yeah, okay, Vince, we know that. Life sucks, and then you die.
This is business. And there's nothing I wouldn't do for our business.
Yeah, because we all know that 48-year-old Fabulous Moolah desperately needed that championship. Fuck off.
Former #1 star, Hulk Hogan.
The man behind the character would shed his spandex and jump into the ring.
I will say, this documentary is doing a much better job explaining to me how much of a betrayal it was for Hogan to testify against Vince.
And as I walked by, there was Vince McMahon sitting there, and we were at each other's throats at the time.
Were you?
The feds just thought that this is the perfect opportunity for me to throw dirt on Vince and all of a sudden run wild with the wrestling world.
Wait a minute, what the fuck did he just say there? The feds thought this was the perfect opportunity for me to throw dirt on Vince and all of a sudden run wild with the wrestling world. Yes, Hulk Hogan, that's what the feds were planning. Jesus Christ.
Did he imply that wrestlers should use steroids? Never, Hogan answered.
Whatever. Do you know what the word implied means?
We go all the way up together and we go all the way down together. Don't forget that.
Things that never happened for 10, thanks, Alex.
I was going to tell the truth. He didn't sell steroids. He didn't tell people to take them. All the stuff they said about him was not true.
Okay, maybe he didn't tell people to take steroids explicitly, But when you say to somebody, hey pal, you're looking pretty jacked, I'll put you in the main event, you can get a good payday. Or you say to somebody, yeah, you're not looking too swole there, buddy, I'm gonna put you in the undercard and you can make less of a payday. That's an implication that you need to take steroids, because this man that decides how much money you get obviously appreciates it when people do. That's what implied means. Fuck it up.
They asked me, did Vince encourage you to do steroids? I said, no, I was using steroids before I met Vince. He let us do it, let's put it that way.
Okay, well put, Tony.
It was a strong influence to take him just based on our common sense and realize that all the guys that are on steroids are the main event guys.
There you go, exactly.
But would he say, hey, you need to work out harder, thinking they'll go on steroids?
Yeah, there you go, exactly what I was saying. It's all in between the lines.
They're coming after me for no good reason. So naturally, I'm concerned.
Oh my god. They just had a whole bunch of people basically say, like, he wasn't telling you to take steroids, but he was kind of telling you to take steroids, and then Vince is like, these bastards are coming after me for no good reason. Other than the fact that you were, like, cultivating a steroid-positive workplace, perhaps, and do them yourself, and as we're going to find out, were involved in ordering steroids with wrestlers.
I was there. The verdict happened, and it was relief.
Yeah. Tell us more, Shane. What do you know about all of this stuff?
They're going to try to portray him as the good guy, but it's like Vince was the bad guy. He wasn't convicted, nor should he have been, but he wasn't the good guy.
It's the best he could have hoped for.
About everything Vince's team did to try to win. Stories of contacting witnesses, of payoffs, jury tampering.
Jesus Christ, where do those stories come from? I will say that article was written by Phil Mushnick, and he does hate Vince, so I don't know. I've never heard that side of it, that there was witness tampering allegations.
The company took a huge drop in attendance. There was no more sellouts. Business wasn't the same as it was when Hulk Hogan was on top.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, I didn't realize it had that big of a impact on it. I thought business was just down in general.
They had to replace Hulk Hogan, and the guy that pulled the sword out of the stone was Bret Hart.
Go get him, champ.
There you go. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Bret, I gotta say. I respect him, but I never got it.
A lot of changes.
And we have Razor Ramon.
There's only one man who is oozing.
Imagine Razor rolling around with that Winged Eagle World Championship title. That would have been sweet.
Hulk's gone now, who's going to step up? That was the mindset. And there were plenty of guys that were waiting to fill that void.
Man, can you imagine if Undertaker started doing the American Badass gimmick back then when when they needed to replace Hogan? I reckon that could have been something big time.
Bret comes from the Hart family, which has produced many, many performers in the past. Very interesting family.
Yeah, don't eat the scrambled eggs. I'll just leave it at that.
I mean, I cut these crazy deals when I first walked in, and it was like dying and going to heaven again as far as the wrestling business.
The amount of money he was offering them was far greater than the amount they have ever made here.
Yeah, don't you think they kind of deserve it? Beating their bodies up for a living. I think they deserve the days off and the extra money, Vince.
Hammerlock, sucker punched, beat up, jumped on, stomped out, chairs broken over our heads, all the wrestling stuff by Vince for so long that I just thought was just go.
It's a great interview by Ted Turner.
Now I've got this thing called Nitro. I've got to figure out a way to create some real surprises.
What is the Great Train Store? Please, somebody in the comments, let me know what the hell they sell there.
You cannot tell anybody. You can't tell WWE. You just go about your business.
I'm here for one reason.
Yeah, that was embarrassing. That was really embarrassing.
Ah, it was a beautiful thing.
Lex Luger, you're a good man.
Wow, it's brutal. Because you help get these talents over, you help build them, and all of a sudden, poof, they're gone.
Hang on. Lex was in WWF for like 2 years, wasn't he?
The people are leaving WWE to go to WCW.
Wasn't he a massive star in WCW before that?
Because I knew if I upset them enough,
they'd actually tune in to see what kind of dastardly stuff I was going to do next week.
Yeah, Eric Bischoff figured out social media before social media.
WWF.
When I first saw him, it's like, oh, well, let's tape these things. I got to run them up to Ted. We brought him up to Ted, and Ted laughed his ass off. He thought they were funny as hell.
That's supposed to be the Hulkster.
What? I want to see that whole video.
And Diesel, they're not staying. Because I asked Razor and Diesel to do one, and they didn't want to do it. Why wouldn't you do this? Yeah, I just don't want to do that.
Did? Who did it in place? Because I didn't see any wrestlers in there.
Just pure money and schedule. You know, they were offered more money and they were offered a better schedule.
Pretty straightforward, isn't it?
Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Shawn Michaels, and myself.
Really? Sean Waltman gets no love in that one?
Is it important to you, Sean? I said, yes, sir it is. And he says, all right, then it's important to me. Go ahead.
Said us two of them were leaving. You know, okay, I got my blessing.
Wait, Vince gave them their blessing to do the curtain call?
Do that and to just let everybody know, hey guys, you know, show's over. We really love each other. Everything's good.
Come on, that wasn't it.
I wasn't there that night, but I was with the company. And I got.
It's so insulting to the intelligence of the fans to think that these guys couldn't coexist, even though they're rivals.
It's not wrestling anymore. It's entertainment.
I kind of agree with that, though. That was kind of the beginning of the end, wasn't it? At the beginning of the end of, like, old school, you know, kayfabe pro wrestling.
To the way the business was, there's a thing called kayfabe.
There you go.
They know that I'm a real person. I always wanted to cast that doubt.
Yeah, look at him. He can't even, like, enjoy himself.
He thinks he is that guy. I kind of protected the business and protected the character so much.
And you know what? I think Undertaker did it better than anyone else as well. You know what's interesting? You know what's wrong with wrestling? There's no kayfabe. The fact that, like, I'm not sure if he's quoting somebody there. I guess he is because it's the thing, but isn't making a news article about kayfabe at all completely destroying it immediately, like, just from talking about it in that kind of context? Oh, okay, it's about Brian Pillman. Yeah, that was an interesting time as well.
Yeah, let it happen again. So, there were some repercussions.
No, that doesn't, and that's the thing. Why does there have to be repercussions? That's so dumb. Vince could be like, hey, everyone, like, yeah, none of that, please. Well, that being said, that's how we got Austin 316, so there's that too.
The biggest reaction of the night, by far, was that moment.
Damn.
The world is changing.
Yeah, 100%.
And to quote Vince, you're going to have to learn to eat shit and like the taste of it.
Yeah, can we not quote Vince when he's talking about liking eating shit?
This is where the big boys play, huh? We ain't here to play.
Ah, cut out the best part of that promo. Nash not knowing what an adjective is.
Sued them because they were trampling on our intellectual property.
Yeah, I don't think they were.
But it was as close to Razor Ramon as you could get without saying, hey, Razor Ramon.
Yeah, well, guess what? That's a loophole. Deal with it.
Do business.
Stealing is in the eye of the beholder, isn't it? It's funny. Whining like a little schoolgirl with that. Big bad billionaire Ted.
When you have the resources of a Ted Turner, and you use these resources in a predatory fashion.
Damn, Bischoff.
Attempt to raid the World Wrestling Federation of its talent.
They raided our talent.
Where have I heard that before?
Vince did the exact same thing to Vern Gagne.
There you go.
That is exactly the MO of Vince McMahon in 1984.
Exactly. And now he's bitching about it.
It created in certain parts of the country and signed them up for more money. And God bless him.
Slaughter for president.
Ted's philosophy was, let's go hurt. I'm going to hurt my competitor. That's not mine. I want to go compete.
By taking all of their top guys? What?
Yep, when someone comes after me, I don't think they have the right. Sure, they have the right again.
Oh, you know what I fucking hate right now? I kind of understand what he means. Like, he was trying to grow the business, and it looks like Ted Turner and Vince McMahon always had some sort of relationship of some kind, and if Ted Turner's gonna be like, let's go head-to-head against WCW and then pour a shit ton of cash in it, I can see that in Vince McMahon's twisted mind that he would see a difference between growing a business and immediately competing against a business, but apparently competing is fine, so he's still a fucking hypocrite.
When Hall and Nash went to WCW, that was the turning point. What really turned the corner for WCW was the Bash at the Beach, where the outsiders were going to bring in the third member. Who's it going to be?
Yeah, well, no shit. It was like 2 months later. That's the same thing people are talking about there, Pritchard.
I walked out at Bash at the Beach. Kevin Nash and Scott Hall ran for their lives.
Hang on, let me speak for Hulk Hogan here. When I walked out of Bash at the Beach, I didn't know if I was gonna turn heel, brother. Andre the Giant hadn't given me the fucking signal yet.
That's too much heat, and maybe this was.
That rumble was there. They got kind of quiet on me, oh shit. I know we didn't have anybody watching the ring in case they started coming, you know, and back in the day I was used to them coming.
What do we got here?
Jesus Christ. Scott Hall kicked that guy's head in.
When they made Hogan a heel, had that been something that you guys were considering ever?
No.
No. Alright, fair enough.
Vince McMahon missed out on the most lucrative opportunity. He could have been the one to turn.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's money right there.
A lot of fans forget that I was a bad guy when I first went to the WWF to work for Vince's father, so it wasn't like this is my first barbecue.
He's got so much cocaine in his system there. You just look at his eyes.
It takes two to tango. It just wasn't one guy that did all this shit. It just wasn't Vince that did all this.
The man Hulk Hogan got bigger!
Didn't earlier in the documentary Hogan say that basically everything that he said was a Vince McMahon direction?
And take all their biggest stars and eventually overcome WCW.
It's a great storyline, but where was it ever going to go, Bischoff?
The NWO brand was, in many respects, more powerful than the WCW brand.
That's true.
And they beat us in the ratings, and they didn't look back for 83 weeks.
How many weeks?
Yeah, all right, Bischoff. We get it.
Yeah, the better stories. No way we thought we could lose.
Oh, the fuck was that move? It was Roddy Piper as well. He's not young.
Ted Turner tried to put him out of business. Ted Turner this, Ted Turner that.
Ted Turner, Ted, trying to own the World Wrestling Federation.
Was Vince McMahon going to come out and say, hey, this guy named Eric Bischoff that's never been a wrestling executive in his life, that's only been in a creative role?
He's not saying that.
To be between Ted Turner, the billionaire media mogul.
And that's what he was saying before about controlling, perception or whatever.
Did you regret not hiring him when you saw him show up over there?
Regret not hiring him?
Yeah.
No.
You don't regret anything?
I don't think I regret anything in my life.
Yeah, I'm getting that impression here, Vince. Yeah, I bet you were regretting doing this documentary, though.
At that time, I wanted to hang on to one of my stars. So I made a deal with Brad.
You didn't create these people, Vince. You gave them a platform. They brought the talent and the skill. That's what people are into.
So I go to Brett and I said, Brett, look, I can't afford to pay.
How the fuck is that a thing?
My dad took Brett's contract and showed Brett where the loopholes were.
Oh, really?
You can use this as leverage to help negotiate yourself a much better deal with WCW.
Oh, okay, I see what he means.
So Brett went for the other guys and was paid a lot of money.
Yeah. And then got kicked in the head by Goldberg and had a stroke, and now he can, barely get around. He's doing okay, actually. Brett's doing pretty good these days.
I can't let you go to Turner with the WWE Championship belt. That doesn't make any sense.
Brett wouldn't have done that. Like, ever.
Losing the match. It was losing it to me.
And why was that, Sean?
Look, I was such a prick.
I came close to punching Sean out quite a few times.
Even though lately you've had some sunny days, my friend.
Oh, God. Nobody's having sunny days anymore.
And it's bullshit.
What were your thoughts about that?
My thoughts at the time was, well, this is good for television.
Yeah, of course. You didn't think to, pull up your dude and be like, hey, man, can you not fucking provoke this anymore?
And so for that, I give him my loyalty. All he had to do is look at me and say, Sean, This is what I want. And I did it.
Well, that sounds like a healthy relationship. So I don't know if they're going to mention it, but the story that I heard is that Sean told Brett something along the lines of like, I just want to let you know that if you drop the title to me, I would not be doing the same thing to you. Like, he went out of his way to say that. I'm not sure where I heard that. It's just one of those things you hear over the years. Brett has come out and said very specifically, I had no problem losing. I had no problem losing in Canada. Why couldn't they put The Undertaker in that match instead? Why couldn't they put Ken Shamrock in that match? Stone Cold Steve Austin. They had heaps of talent that you could just put the title on that wasn't Shawn Michaels, and then you could just have him win the belt the next night. Whatever, it doesn't matter. There's so many ways to avoid this whole situation.
If he wants to make this a real fight, we can make it a real fight anytime he wants to.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to have a real fight against Bret Hart. Fuck that.
And in fact, puts it on wrong. If you see it, I correct Sean while he's doing it, and he switches it and puts it on right.
Oh my god, that's a good point. I never noticed that.
And he won't ring it. He's like stunned. He's like, and then I see Vince snap at him. They ring the fucking bell.
Ah, get out of here. Yeah, Hebner, make tracks, bro.
When you have a match as hard as I was wrestling at the time, you get a fair bit of froth in your mouth. I leaned over and I spit on his face. I got him bullseye.
Yeah, you did. That was a great shot, Brett. And well deserved, too.
Damn, how did he do that? And then I went out and broke off.
It was a 1 in a million shot. The universe was like, yeah, spit in his eye, Brett.
That wasn't right, what they did. That was wrong. Consoling to me at that time.
Damn, are we going to talk about Owen in this documentary?
Well, I've given this guy everything I got. I couldn't have given a man more than what I gave Vince McMahon. None of that meant anything. When Vince screwed me that day in Montreal.
Yeah, he's right. Brett is not wrong in this at all. He is definitely the fucking victim here.
Sean, you weren't in on that? Fucking idea. I got no place. God's my fucking witness.
Oh, God. I bet you regret though using those words now.
I leave the room because I don't want to watch Vince get punched.
Finally, Brett gets up, walks across the room.
And Brett hauls off it. Man, you hit me so hard.
Yeah, well, maybe you deserved it. Fuck.
Vince is going to give me a shot. Like, I don't know where they get that story, because that is such a bunch of bullshit.
Oh, is it?
Came at each other, and we actually tied up like a wrestling match.
I believe that.
You know, when you hit the bell, when the thing goes up.
To this day, I have no idea how the punch got through.
Knocked him right out.
Probably the best thing I ever did, and he deserved every bit of that.
Yeah. Well done, Brett.
I'll place it in terms of my head. It was a pretty good concussion.
A good concussion. Fucking hell, Vince. Phrasing.
That was the Montreal screw job, as it was called. And to this day, I don't regret any of it.
Things just got real.
And why would he regret it? It sent his business into the next stratosphere and created the Mr. McMahon character. It was money. It's not like he should, have some empathy for Bret Hart and what he's done for this business or anything.
A seismic change.
Yeah, here we go.
In the midst of chaos, a lot of times genius comes out of it.
That's scary enough. That's actually pretty true in this situation.
We're just getting started.
That's not a bad episode. That was just very wrestling industry heavy, I guess, but I'm sure it's probably just giving us context for what we're going to talk about in future episodes. Looks like we've got the Mr. McMahon character right around the corner. That was when I started watching wrestling, and then I got, quite into it and went back and watched stuff from years prior. But the Mr. McMahon character was fucking nuts. It was the worst, but I think it was Pritchard on there saying that the Mr. McMahon character is also one of the most beloved, and it's true. Like, it's probably one of the best on-screen pro wrestling characters of all time. And I mean that 100%. You watch anything with Mr. McMahon, and it is just compelling. So bad, you can't explain it. You can't explain it. Bret and the Montreal Screwjob, yeah, I still feel like there's a lot more to that story than just that. I don't think we've ever had a proper telling of it, but it is interesting to hear Undertaker, sit down and talk about these things. And I hope we get more of Undertaker I guess we definitely will, in future episodes of this, because he's one person that's been very quiet because he's keeping it kayfabe, brother, for years and years and years, and he's only just started to talk about a lot of this stuff. So I still find seeing him talk about this stuff to be very interesting. Bruce Pritchard, I don't think I could trust him as far as I could throw him. And Triple H is another talking head on this show that I'm paying extra close attention to. But Brett was great in this episode, and I'm glad he gets his moment in the Mr. McMahon documentary to say, I'm glad I punched him in the face and I don't regret it for a second. But I hope you enjoyed this reaction. Let me know in the comments what you thought about it. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Patreon.com/FWCI if you want to support the channel further. And as always, everyone, be well, stay safe, look after your friends, ta-ta, and farewell.